Oh, I can post a comment. Oh, I can do it. Can't post comments on some destinations. It'll post to YouTube and to Facebook. I love it. So there you go. Excelente. Okay, this is not too crazy, is it? All right. So
There you
let's
go. I've
read
added a
a
comment.
You did, and it is fabulous. And it looks, let me see what happens if I don't know if I can do anything else. We'll just leave that there. So I want to welcome those of you who are with us live and those of you who are watching the recording down the road. I am Judy Ann Baker. I am the queen bee and creator of the Buzzworthy Book Experience. And we are going to have some live coaching here today with my esteemed colleague, Christopher Johnson, who is a Zoom producer, the owner of Calm Clear Media, and wait till you hear his voice. If you've ever wanted to hear the most soothing, beautiful voice in the world, Christopher, say hello to the audience.
That's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
I know. A
Okay.
little just a little bit, sweetie. Well, you were so gracious to come on with me today. I'm trying something different. I coach people all the time, but I realized I was kind of doing it the equivalent to when you're writing your book, you're doing it all by yourself until you start working with your editors. And it seemed to me other people benefit when they see what we're talking about. And I thought, this is a perfect opportunity. And because I totally trust you, we thought, what the heck, we're gonna do this today. So we may go over some of the things we talked about yesterday, but we can pretend that we're not, or we'll get into some other areas. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about what what you would like to get out of being coached today?
Well, uh, well, let's start by way of an introduction. So, yes, I am Christopher Johnson. I'm based in Metro Detroit. Where my comfort zone is, what I do is produce virtual events for clients, organizations like California WIC or Culture Reframed. And my approach is purpose first. What's the purpose of this event? That dictates how we set everything up. Now, getting outside of my comfort zone, well, the coaching that we talked about before is, most of my business has been referral, word of mouth, which is not always scalable. So,
Mm.
how can that be remedied? And that's where we had a fun, fascinating conversation yesterday.
Well, why don't we show folks where we started? We started by looking at Christopher's LinkedIn profile, which, by the way, is excellent. Now, do I bring that in or do you bring that in?
Well, I think we both can. I'm
Okay.
happy to.
Oh, can you hit present?
I should be able to.
Okay, then I'm going to
Um,
let you do
okay, so let's do this.
that. Okay.
Well, actually, it helps if I bring up my LinkedIn page first.
Oh, little details, little details.
Well, you know, sometimes it is the little details.
It is. It is for darn sure.
And while it's refreshing,
Yes,
there
it
it
is.
is. Okay. I tell you, sometimes when you want technology to be lickety split and it says, huh, it acts like, wrong term, a teenager.
Oh, you want me to do what when?
It just
Mm-hmm.
says, huh?
Now,
Yes, I'd like you to finish loading this page.
well, you've just described what it was like all morning. I was trying to be sure everything was hooked up together so that we would actually be able to do this. And I was getting some very odd dialogue boxes.
I
Okay,
understand.
okay,
So
so I'm going to add.
currently, there
Oh,
you go.
that worked! Yahoo! Woohoo!
You
Okay,
have done an outstanding job.
yo, thank you. So why don't you walk us through what's on your LinkedIn profile? And because I only
Sure.
made one minor suggestion.
Which I have not enacted yet, so that we
Oh,
could
do it.
exactly. So
Oh,
we can review that. All right. So starting at
oh,
the top, I currently have the LinkedIn rotator. So what I have set up is the services that I offer. They each get a banner, and I have them on a rotator. I'm going to
yes.
be making some minor editing changes so that it is. I mean, currently, like on this one, I'm blocking a smidge of the photo. Nothing there. Here, I'm blocking the bullets on the last two items, so those editing things will be uh, cleaned up and corrected.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: everything that you do is just its most current iteration. So there is no set it and done. It is
Nah.
okay. Here's the current iteration. So we'll scroll down this review. One of the things I encourage people to do is to put a name pronouncer on there. Now, here's
Very.
the thing: I've gotten pushback from that, and I always win. Not
Yeah.
bragging, but no. Here's the thing: you get 10 seconds, and
Yep.
I've heard people say, "But my name is easy to pronounce." Christopher
And
Johnson is not a tongue twister. My name is easy to pronounce.
mhm,
That 10 seconds, and 10 seconds is a long time.
yes.
You can do a lot in 10 seconds, more than just say your name. You can say what you do, who you are. 10 seconds is
Ooh.
a lot of time. For instance, you could say, I'm Judy M. Baker with Buzzworthy Books, and your book deserves a buzz.
Oh, you're gonna be introducing me forever now. I'm gonna take a clip of that and it's gonna go up. But you know what? You just also reminded me of this. I happen to be in a Toastmasters group, and there are more non-Native Americans in my group than there are people who were born here. And so while you and I both, I mean, we were laughing because could you get two more common, easy names in the United States? Maybe Smith. But if you're not a native English speaker, you might not know how to pronounce Baker. You might not know how to pronounce Christopher or Johnson. And so do not assume and make it easy for people. So I like what you just gave us as a great tip.
Exactly. And I've used this when I'm so one of the things that I do is I'm the weekend host on my public radio station. If I'm
Mm.
going to be talking to somebody and I have no idea how to pronounce their name, one of the first places I will check is to see if they have this set up.
Well,
Because when you can call someone by their name, pronouncing it correctly is just you're starting the relationship off on a good foot.
it's so funny that you mention this. And this goes to our whole point about how do you get stronger visibility? How do you get people to know about you outside of your immediate circle? There was a post about what successful people do, and I believe it was on Entrepreneur Magazine. And if you make people comfortable in that first 30 seconds when you meet them, you've now created a friend for life. And this is no joke. Psychological studies support this. So, one of the reasons Christopher is such a good host is because he does that. He's not looking about what, oh, it's all about me. It's all about, no, no, no. He's looking at how am I going to make you feel comfortable? And since we're in a predominantly digital world these days, doing some of the things that we would naturally do face to face can present challenges. So we have to think, what would make them comfortable? How can I do that? And showing interest in other people and making them feel at ease starts with, is your profile picture up to date? Which yours is, as is mine. Is your headline? Go back so you can see Christopher's headline right there. It's very clear what he does. He didn't give you a job title. He gave you what he does for people. That is brilliant. But we're going to work down a little bit further in his profile, and that's where we're going to make a change. Because the more you can amplify how you serve people, because that's what LinkedIn is. We are service. We help people do things. So we went right here into the About page. And what I suggested to Christopher, there's nothing wrong with what he has, but that first sentence, I suggested making a flip of where you're focused first, because he said most people aren't afraid of platforms, but I'm saying, what if you are somebody who is afraid and you address that first? So, do you want to go ahead and update your profile so we can see that? How easy it is. And you also said something else, Christopher, which I completely agree with. I tell people, if on the minimum, look at your profiles, any of the ones that you're on, look at them at least once a quarter and more frequently if you make changes. And if you hear something, somebody says something and they resonate with that because now they understand what you do, update your profiles. It's never done, but it's always, this is the current, like you said, this is the current iteration, this is the current version, it's the current publication. So see how simple that little flip is. Now you've got this going for your audience. And as I was being the little duck with my feet underwater today, trying to be sure everything was connected. Yesterday, Christopher said to me, "Is there anything else I can do to help you?" And I said, "Oh no, I'm fine." What an idiot!
Wait, wait. All right. So, Judy,
I'm a human.
you are you are a highly accomplished individual. You have the respect and admiration of peers and a whole host of people. None of those people would cut into you calling yourself an idiot. None of
I,
them.
I know that. I'm laughing at myself because I mean, you've probably done it too. You think, "Well, I know how to do that. I'm fine. I can take care of it." If someone's offering help, think about it for a minute. It doesn't mean you don't have the skills. It doesn't mean you don't know how to do something. But if someone's offering to support you, it's okay to say yes.
It is. And, it's okay to ask for help. And so, all right. Would you like to share the titles of your text messages today?
Oh my gosh. I know. All right, I will. They were pretty funny. They were pretty funny. Um I said I'm officially freaking out trying to set up StreamYard. Too many choices for setting up the studio. And the reason I said that, I sent that off to Christopher. I am someone who may be like you, might have a bit of ADHD in their processing. And while we are wildly creative, we are wonderful at doing lots of things. When there's too many things to do at once, it gets to be overwhelming. And it's a principle of mine in the bees method to help people not have too many things in their face at once. Doing one thing, one step at a time, break it down, make it simple. So, doing what we just did with your profile is a perfect example. If I would have said, "Oh, you've got to do this, and this on your profile," what would have happened? Would you have gotten all of that done?
No, it would have been the list would have seemed overwhelming. So,
Exactly.
exactly. You gave me one item, and hey, we did it in real time. While we're
Boom.
there, though,
Yeah.
I would like
Let's
to offer up other suggestions that people can do in their About section in
thank you.
case they're not aware.
I
So
appreciate that. You can
you
tell
can
he's a good
add
talking.
you can add skills to your About section.
Absolutely.
What skills should you add? The ones that are reflected in your About section. So for me, virtual events, Zoom meetings, live events, broadcasting, instructor led training, those are things I'm known for. How can you find out what you're known for? Well, ask people that work with you. That's one easy way. So add skills to your About section. It's one of those
Mhm.
things you should add skills to every place in LinkedIn where you can that is appropriate. So these are skills for my About section. I'll save this and we can continue scrolling down.
We can. And the other thing about adding skills, if you don't want people to ask you about that, don't put it in there. If you want to share that skill, if you want to get paid for that skill, if you want people to recognize you for that skill, then put it in because I'm
Exactly.
sure Christopher has a bunch like I do. I'm not sharing that with the general world. My friends might know about it, but not everybody else does. So,
Wait, so your Olympic medal in basket weaving, you just don't want to talk about that anymore?
no. Well, this is really interesting. It really does dovetails into what we're doing today. I gave a speech last night at my Toastmasters group. I'm in Pitch Perfect, which is an all women's Toastmasters club, and we meet on Zoom, which can be a challenge for a ham bone like me because I really like being on physical stages. However, my assignment, because I'm still going through the different projects, was I had just started the mentorship
Hmm.
section, but I had to talk about being a protege.
Ah,
And that totally ties in with what we're doing today. And as I was creating my speech for that, I was talking about my drama teacher back in high school. And well, some people still don't believe me when I say this. When I first had to give a speech, I did. I broke into tears and I ran out of the room. I mean, this is not a joke. I really did. I just, I couldn't do it. And this was my drama teacher. So I was taking speech and drama concurrently. And Mrs. Archer was an angel and she convinced me that I could do it. But just like we were breaking everything down into one thing at a time, number one, you couldn't hear me. You, my voice didn't carry at all. I had no, I wanted to be invisible, so my voice was invisible. And she taught me how to have correct posture, how to gesture appropriately. But as I was telling the story, it reminded me of exactly how I felt when I was, about 13 years old and didn't have a clue. And because she was a good mentor, she was able to stand beside me, not above me, not as if she was, knew everything because she still made mistakes too. And she admitted it as I did earlier. And that made me more confident because I learned I could try things and I didn't have to be perfect, and that over time I could layer and get better. So I would imagine, Christopher, you didn't just come out of the womb being able to do all the things you can do today. Am I correct?
that is correct. We acquire these skills uh, in a variety of ways. So
Hmm.
at one point, I worked in the computer lab on my university campus,
Yeah.
and I was helping everyone else with their computer programs. I know that's it's been a through line throughout, my working with technology, helping people with technology.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I recognized a lot of this. How did you know that that's what I've made that mistake? I know exactly what to look for. I
Uh-huh.
so as we were
Yeah.
going through this and we were going and set up, like, all right, so I know where, although I don't have your control screen in front of me, I've been on
Yes.
StreamYard enough that, okay, go here and click that one more time. So now it's disappeared.
Yes. And it's refreshing. And don't you find when you're working with your clients, that's one of the things that they really love about you is that you don't make them feel as if they are deficient. They just don't know what you know,
Sure.
and
And
you're
that's it.
helping them learn it.
It is, it's 2025. They have yet to come up with flawless technology. Technology will technology when it technologies, and there's nothing you can do about that technology.
Uh-uh.
So things go sideways all the time. When that happens on a virtual platform, people want to know, are we descending into chaos or is there an adult in the room? Now, that might be the only room I pretend to be an adult in. It's like, okay, no, we're not going to. Here's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Would you say this is something that's really critical? And I think this is part of why I want to share you with more people.
Oh, thank you.
The fact that you deliberately, and just as I had named my business before I changed it up again, I named myself Book Marketing Mentor very deliberately. I said, I'm not a coach. Book coaches help you write stuff. I help you learn things. I help you learn to trust yourself. And often people, when they first walk in the door, they say, oh, I'm bad at marketing. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I'd say, hang on a second. Your brain hears everything you say, whether it's true or not. If you
And it
reframe it,
can't tell the difference.
it doesn't know the difference. It's all, it's like ones and zeros. So change the conversation. And what you just said about technology, you and I have both been on enough shows, whether it's a podcast, a webinar, a conference, any of those things. Stuff breaks.
It does.
It does. But you said something important, the fact that, and you named your business, Calm Clear Media. Pay attention to that, people. This is someone who can do the stuff so that you can shine in public. But if he only stays in the background, how are people going to find him? So that's what we're looking at today. What else can you do to be more forward facing? And I think this is something that's true for you and for me. Neither of us is transactional. We are relationship based. And that's
Absolutely.
what we're working on.
So, Judy, I would
Yeah.
like to pick your brain on live TV. So there is no pressure at all.
Okay. Well,
But this is in your wheelhouse.
thank
And
you.
see, I'll set it up this way.
Hmm.
We are limited in how we see ourselves. Our frame of reference is all wrong to be an objective observer. Now,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
if I were to write a book, well, let me rephrase that. When I write a book, what should my book be about? Based on
Oh,
our interactions, where would be where would my strengths be in writing a book?
this is going to be a little tricky because I can think of several things that I would want to showcase. One, what you just talked about, the fact that you've always been able to be the adult in the room and help people figure things out, that you're not panicking when, and I've been in the room and I've seen people do it, and I've also taken on that role. I would talk about that. What makes you able to do that and to translate it into multiple environments? Not everybody can do that. And because it's easy for you and it's easy for me, it's often easy to overlook that. But
You
that
know,
is a
you
real
yeah,
gift.
it's funny you say that. I was supporting a payroll system. So, all right, who is payroll important for? Anyone getting a check. Okay, that includes me.
Yeah.
I like it when the payroll department gets my check correct. Oh, that's just a wonderful thing.
Yep.
The payroll system had gone down in the middle of the night. I was working on fixing it. My boss was essentially standing over my shoulder. The
Yeah.
client was also in the room. So the
Yeah.
client, I don't know if Johnson understands the severity. Why? Because I was coding to fix the problem. And I explained, I said, if you would like, I could run around like my hair's on fire to pretend, like that is that level of import.
Right.
Or I could work on fixing the problem. Now, if I'm running around with my hair on fire, that's going to be acting, and I'm not that good an actor in this scenario. But what I can do is fix the problem. Where would you like me to focus?
Ooh, did that shut him up really fast?
Pretty much.
I
They said
know.
focus on fixing the problem. Okay.
And that, okay, but that is a skill and not everybody has it. And sometimes that, the panic in the room, what it does is it not only creates more anxiousness and anxiety and make things worse. The person who can stay calm and figure things out, even even while, the rope might be burning and getting closer to you, but you're going to get where you need to go to get off of the burning rope so that now things can be working again. I would focus on that. That
Okay.
is actually a very important skill to have. And I'm sure you've had to talk clients off the ledge
Sure.
in the past. And when you're doing an event, oh boy. I'm just picturing the last workshop that I was in charge of, and it was a day that if anything else could have gone wrong, I think we would have had to have an earthquake or a hurricane or a tornado. It was like layered of that didn't work right, this didn't work right, this didn't work. Some of which was not in my control, some of which was. But I learned a good lesson. But the biggest lesson is, and you may have had this experience too, even if stuff isn't working right, if you start panicking in front of your audience or client, it doesn't make things better.
No, it does not help.
Yeah. Pouring
Ah,
gasoline on a fire is not my recommendation. So I would start there,
all
but
right.
then you have some other skills that I think you might want to bring into the table. Because
Okay.
not you've been a TED Talk speaker, you are an audiobook narrator, and I would want to know not only that you have the ability to make me look good, but how did you get here? What what went into your recipe so that these experiences brought you here? Because as I was describing my mentor, we become our mentors. And
You
I think
do.
that's what you do. I think that's what you do well.
Well, thank you very much. Uh, the easy answer is cultivated curiosity. So both my parents were educators. They both taught elementary school.
Ah.
They fostered in their children, or yeah, they fostered in their children a love of learning and at least a curiosity about how the world works.
Mhm.
Now, as teachers, I saw what they did all the time, and I knew, oh, there is not a chance that I will ever want to be a teacher
But you are.
because I looked at what my parents were doing. It's like, oh, that is not for no, 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 no. But you say something like that, and the universe says, "Oh, really?"
Mhm.
So yeah, there
Yeah.
has been a component of teaching in pretty much every job I've held.
Oh god. Me too.
That's a beautiful thing. Now,
Yeah.
um, did you want to cover anything else on the LinkedIn profile?
Um, if you would go down to where your testimonials are,
Ah,
because not you and I know that they're important and we have them, but not everybody knows this. And
sure. And
that I
as
think
we scroll there, I apologize for interjecting. Okay. I
okay.
will point out that one of the things that you can do in your experience section is add media to it. So if you wrote something for the company newsletter, add it to your profile. It's media.
Yes.
You publish something somewhere. You have audio pieces or video pieces, add them to your profile. A good
Mhm.
friend of mine, Sue Griffey, she says, don't make me do your homework for you. Don't force me
Ooh,
to look for what you can do.
yep.
Excavate your own evidence.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So as we scroll down, education, sure, licenses, put those in there.
Yep.
Volunteering,
Uh,
absolutely. If
yes.
the company where you have, if the organization where you give your time and talents to has a LinkedIn profile, such as IEEE, or make sure you reference the company page so that it doesn't show up as gray boxes.
Oh, that makes me nuts.
Yeah,
It totally makes me nuts. It's like when someone is on camera, but they have their camera turned off.
exactly. Yeah. And so we talked about skills before. You can now have up to 100 skills. Which 100 should you use? The 100 that apply to you. What are the people that you are trying to attract looking for? Those
Mhm.
are the skills that you need to have in your skills section. And again, place them everywhere in your LinkedIn profile, your about section. Every position that you've done, whether volunteer or paid, where you can add those skills, place them in there. Now we've gone down to the recommendation section.
Yeah,
And here you wanted to show me something.
I do. The fact that you've got these testimonials, which is known as social proof that you are as good as you are, these folks have acknowledged what they have received by working with you. And because they've been kind enough to do that, you have evidence when people come here. And I don't know about you, but I usually go to people's LinkedIn pages first before I even go to their website. I want
Mm.
to see what other folks are telling me about you and if there's something there that makes sense. And is it someone, are the people who are talking about you, do I trust them too? Can I see what they're saying is your secret sauce? So, right here, you've got a gold mine. And did you know this? Here's another tip. And I think you may already know it because you are such a kind person. You probably are very generous at giving
Well,
recommendations as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So
Yeah.
I think there should be a relationship between the two. I'm not saying
Yes.
one for one,
No.
but so I Received
27.
27.
Uh-huh. Nothing to sneeze at.
I've given 19. So I have some work to do.
You do. But just like with book reviews, because you are going to be writing that book, when you are
Will be.
expecting to get a book review, are you reviewing books that you have read or listened to?
Absolutely.
It counts. And your name, you give a review, your name is showing up. So
True.
these are kind of easy ways to do something that you have a natural inclination to do anyway.
Mhm.
But now you can say, "Oh, have I given a recommendation? Someone just did something. They made my life easier. They showed me how to do something, or we had a great time working together." Are you paying attention and adding your gratitude in print for other people to see? It will also stimulate people giving you even more recommendations.
And wait, there's still more.
There's more.
So I want to emphasize the importance of what you just said and tie it back to something that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Our LinkedIn headline.
Oh,
That is yours. It is free advertising wherever you go on the platform.
yeah.
For instance, Amolia. Amolia is a delightful person. Her headline,
Ooh.
audio events queen. Okay, we know exactly what she does. LinkedIn business coach, podcaster, and speaker. Huh.
Ah,
All of these things, when she
right.
gave her recommendation, her headline followed her recommendation here. So,
Yes.
you know,
Yep.
same with I mentioned Sue Griffey earlier. Yeah.
Yes.
Sue Mentors, giving you the how to your next career step. The mentor with pom poms. She says who she is. She is someone you should know. And she and I did a LinkedIn Live event where we
Yeah.
talked about excavating your evidence. And
Mm.
now that is where I mean, she took that she liked that line and she put it right into
Yes.
her. So your headline follows you around. You could just go with the standard job title that defaults,
Yeah.
or what is
Yeah.
it that you do? How do you want this to follow you around on the platform?
Absolutely. What's so brilliant about that? I learned that was probably the first thing I learned about LinkedIn that I could do differently. My friend Ted Perdomo
Mhm.
is the ultimate LinkedIn expert, and he's written 3 books on it. And Ted and I have a similar background in that we were both incredibly shy. We always focused on helping people, but we kind of faded into the background. And he decided to change that. And because he decided to change that, he started writing articles. He was a computer support person for a really long time. And when you're in that role, you were kind of supposed to be in the background. But then he wanted to branch out. And so he learned to be a better speaker. He learned how to write better articles. And he said, your headline is not your job title. You can put your job title in there somewhere, but who cares? The fact that you know how to do what you know how to do, you know how to be a Zoom producer, you know how to be an audiobook narrator, you know how to help people set up their technology. That doesn't mean your job title is this one and only thing. There's so many different ways you can get to being able to facilitate those things and embracing that, but making it obvious to people what you do. So let me ask this right now. Do you have a LinkedIn newsletter, Christopher?
Do.
Do you want to tell us the title of your LinkedIn newsletter?
All right. I like
A link in
alliteration.
the chat too.
I sure shall. So I like alliteration. You know, my company, Calm Clear Communications, Calm Clear
Yes.
Media, yeah. Uh, my newsletter, Calm Clear Conversations.
Oh,
So yeah, and that is going into the chat.
okay. Absolutely.
Actually, you know what? I got that
What?
wrong. My
Oh,
YouTube channel is Calm Clear. That's the interviews I've done. That's Calm Clear Conversations. The newsletter is Calm Clear Connections.
nice. So they're not identical. So you get Google Juice from different places, but they're close enough. They're related. And that's
Yeah,
something that we want to pay attention to too. In the bees method, it's about layering things together so that you're not trying to me, it's the equivalent of if you were trying to have five conversations simultaneously and you're the speaker, you can't do that, can you? And you'd get pretty tired if you tried to do that. I've seen people try. I have seen people try. But because you have a lane, you have a focus, and there's different aspects of it, but your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn newsletter, your YouTube channel are complementary. So it's a lot easier because you're not having to constantly go, okay, so who am I today?
on days I wake up, I'm calm and clear.
I like that. I like that very much. With your newsletter, have you seen? Well, I'm going to ask a different question. I'm going to ask a different question. Where do you feel there are holes in your getting the word out about what you do and how you help people? Are there
Mm.
places where you don't feel like you're visible enough?
Hmm. The easy answer is all the places. And here's what I mean by that.
Okay.
Like, I am a shy person. I am an introvert by nature. But here, with a twist, I'm very comfortable on stage. Give me
Mhm.
need me to speak for 30 minutes about something, fine.
Yes.
Live radio, fine.
Yes.
Um, a conversation with 3 people, ooh, like, around a table or something? Yes. In
Yeah.
a closed room? Wow.
Yeah.
So when I say, where can I be more visible? All the places one of the things I'm working on doing better this year is video. So sometimes my video has not been consistent in terms of producing content, but I have a new project that I'm working on. So I have a few weeks of I probably have a little bit more than a month worth of content now to uh, do that. And so I have to find these things one project at a time. So what's going to be the next one after this?
Okay. I have a question for you about that. I think I know the answer, but I want to hear from you.
Oh,
When you're doing video, because video can be a lot of different things.
sure.
It can be produced, it could be live like we're doing now. Are you taking that content which from any of these sources and how are you using it right now and where do you think there's a gap? Because I think I know the answer.
Okay. So this next project is outward focus. It is me showcasing somebody that I'm working with. So
Ooh,
that, that's
yeah,
fine. That's
yeah.
that is easy. Showcasing me, it's like,
Oh,
why?
what? I totally get it. But I have another thing that I bet's happening as well.
Okay.
Are you sharing your video content more than once. How good are you at reading
Oh,
and resharing it?
uh, I will say I will give an asterisk as an answer. So I will post it on multiple platforms, but I
Mhm.
do not post it on the same platform twice. Is that what you mean?
That is exactly what I mean. And right there is a missed opportunity.
Hmm.
A good friend, Patrick Schwartfager, early days of the internet, he did something very unusual. He took 52 tips as an autoresponder series. So you could subscribe to his email and you would get a tip and then you get another tip. And he then compiled that into a book. So you could buy the book right away or you could get one tip at a time. And he decided he wanted to become a paid professional speaker. But because he understood about layering, one of the things he said that still it resonates in me every day, and I still have the original book. It's here. I mean, it's mostly still valid. He said the internet, social media is like a raging river, and you are not standing in it. It's not standing still for you. It's going to keep whooshing by. So when you post something, and this was back when we actually did have a little more control over who saw what we did. He said, you know what? Don't worry about reposting. He said, in fact, do repost because people will only see it when they're dipping their toes in the water, not when you decide you want them to dip their toes in the water. That's why you want to get them on your email list. But if you're relying solely on social platforms or other people's land, you're missing the boat. And
That's
good
true.
example, one of the best examples I can give you. There are two people in the publishing world I listen to almost every day. Joanna Penn, who has the Creative Penn, it's the Creative Penn, that's her nonfiction stuff, and Thomas Olmsted Jr., who has the Novel Marketing Podcast. And they both make reference to their bodies of work. They've both been podcasting since like the early days, 2009. Thomas has the oldest and the largest publishing related podcast in the world. Joanna is they're probably like neck and neck. But what they do is when they're talking about a topic, they'll say, well, you may also want to refer back to episode number 100, where we talked about XYZ. Or they'll refer you to other people's stuff that amplifies the message. So you, Christopher, because you are a producer and an editor, you can go and mine your own content. It could be a clip that'll take people over to your YouTube channel, will take people over to your newsletter, will take people to your website, to your, to your profiles. Do that. If you stopped creating content for a month, but you just mined what you already have, did I just save you a bunch of time? Because now
You
you're not having
did.
to do stuff.
You did.
Did.
And I just added Thomas's
Yeah.
website.
Uh,
So now, and Joanne's name again?
oh, it's thecreativepen.com. And both of them have Patreon accounts. And I subscribe and I'm a patron because they not only they do live podcasts, but they give extra goodies to their patrons. And because you have extra knowledge, think about, are there some low hanging fruit areas where you might offer extra stuff as a patron? And
Mm.
Patreon is patreon.com. You can
Hmm.
become a patron. You could also do it on Substack. So you
Hmm.
already have, and with Substack, because you do podcasting, you can put your podcast right onto Substack.
That is
And
true.
then you can monetize it because you can have a paywall. So you can let people see a lot of your stuff for free, but there's some extra secret sauce and it can be small. Joanna makes she's got over 1,000 subscribers now as patrons. And I love her tagline about that. It's just, you can support me about the cost of a cup of coffee a month. Or if you're feeling generous too. But over time, multiply that 1,000 by all of those people contributing on Patreon. That's another income stream that she doesn't have to work as hard at. Thomas, the same thing. And you can fund parts of what you're doing, and with both Patreon, with your podcast, with your YouTube channel, you can get paid subscribers and advertisers where you're monetizing too. So do you think there might be some other holes like that that you could start looking at?
Absolutely. And yeah, yeah,
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
it is. It is. And let's see. I was looking for
Yeah.
I have a Substack.
Put that in there. Put that in there. What's the focus of your Substack?
It is somewhat a duplication of my LinkedIn newsletter.
Which is okay. And you can have multiple Substacks just for those of you who don't know. Because I have friends who have more than one. I have more than one too. But
Okay.
because you might write fiction, you might write poetry, you might write nonfiction, you might write all three. So each of those Substacks is going to kind of hit a little bit different market. But just like we were looking at the reviews and testimonials, you tell people what else you do because you don't know whether or not they want to find the other stuff too. Make it easy to find yourself.
That is true.
Yeah. So why don't you ask me some more questions? You already put me on the spot a couple times. I think I did okay.
Oh,
What else?
absolutely. Because you are the pro that you are. See, all right. I believe I've only asked you questions where you are comfortable without a net. You were
Okay.
able to answer those easily. These were not in your area of discomfort.
No.
I didn't ask you a really technical question about StreamYard.
Try me. Let's see if I can do that. Go ahead. Go ahead. If I don't know the answer,
No,
I won't say I don't. I won't say something I don't know. I will say I
no.
don't.
So my question for you would be, let's see. So one of the things I'm taking away is be all the places and be consistent about those places. So layering things like calm, clear. One of the hashtags I use in posting Zoom stuff, calm, clear, Zoom. So calm, clear, and whatever. So I should emphasize that sort of branding and layer it all over the place. Um,
Yes. Yes.
Reuse my content on a regular basis. It's not publish once and forget it, put it on the shelf. No, refer back to it, quote yourself on a regular basis, reuse that content on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. This is interesting because you already have it, but you're probably like me. You do it and then you put it out there and then you move on to the next thing.
it
But
is. Here's a dynamic that, so with writing stuff for the radio, it is just that you write it and then it's done.
it's done.
That broadcast will, you're done.
Hmm.
And hey, guess what? News happens every day, so you are always producing something new.
Yes.
However, as an individual, as an entrepreneur, as a person on these platforms,
Mhm.
that is just the opposite. It is write something, do something, showcase that again, showcase
Yeah.
that again, write something that is connected to that, showcase the both of them, show how they're connected.
And your content is evergreen. For the
Yeah.
most part, what you do and what I do, other than if it's if it's a live event, that's an instance and we're not going to be having that instance happen again. But the content that you produce is not going to expire like a carton of milk. Most of the content I produce is not going to expire. I've said this, I've been saying this for 20 years. And when I can look back at my body of work, the graphic arts that I did 20 years ago, the graphic design I do today, the writing that I do today, the way that I mentor people, there is not huge shifts in what I do, except that I've gotten better at the mentoring. But I can still look at books I designed 20 years ago and you wouldn't say, "Oh my god, that's dated. It's horrible." Because I learned the principles of good design and they still hold up. My stuff is, it's timeless. What you're sharing with us about how we think about creating an event, how we welcome people in, how we acknowledge them, that is timeless. And it's probably more important today than ever. And I think that is where you and I can both excel. And one of the things that I'm going to bring into the picture, because we were both dabblers with tools in the with the assisted intelligence. That's what I'm calling it. I'm not calling it. It's not something else. We have to prompt it, so we have to ask what we want to have in there. But I did something yesterday that just blew my mind. I said I was in perplexity. And I said, "Could you create a workflow for me to find all the places I have appeared on stage, on YouTube, in a podcast?" And oh, whoa, it did. And now I've got a workflow. Plus, it gathered clips for me too. Talk about mind blown. So there's some things that we don't even know we can ask these assistants to do that will save us time, but it also shifted my thinking a little bit too. So you might just take a look
Mm,
at that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And building on that, I was reading a post recently on LinkedIn. It was about downloading your data from LinkedIn.
Yes.
So you should do that on a regular basis. Okay. What this person did is have their it gave the AI prompt,
Yes.
look at all of the recommendations I have received. What are common elements and themes? So when you download your data, it gives it to
Mhm.
you in a basically an Excel or Google
Yeah.
Sheets sort of a spreadsheet
Right.
document.
Right.
And he uploaded that, gave the reference. Look at this column. What is the common element? What themes come out in the recommendations that I've received from others? And I thought
Yes.
that was really insightful. And I did that. And yes, that is how that some of those changes I put into my about section. And then today we did even more.
We did. And why that's so powerful is you well understand. We're using the words of the people we serve. We're using their words, not our words. As marketers, it's really easy to get into this headspace and you're going to go, "Oh, I'm going to say all this, blah, 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 blah." And you get into jargon or you get into, whatever. But if people are saying it differently and we can't see ourselves. We weren't even designed to see ourselves. part of what's happening with Zoom. It's making us all crazy. We're not supposed to see our faces all the time. We're not. But if you listen to the reflection of what people are noting about us, about what they are finding valuable, and you share that with other people, they can relate to that because it's an honest expression. And I think that's just the best thing in the world. I just saw that we are at 3:01 my time. So, what would be one more thing that you might want to see if you can stump me or just want to ask a question about?
Well, I never want to stump you. A pause and ponder, sure.
Ooh,
Again, I like alliteration. So you
I
are you're a book person.
hmm
Here's a secret. It's an open secret. I love books. I'm a voracious reader. What's the last book that you read that you would recommend?
Oh, you're gonna laugh when I tell you this one. Um, well, I have one that I haven't started yet, so I can't say that one. And that one is Ants in My Pants. So I'm going to be listening to Joyce Perrin's book because she's a friend of ours and she's brilliant. And she traveled for up it was 27 years, I think, all around the world with health systems, and she went to different countries.
Mhm.
She's such a smart lady. So that's on my next to read. But I just finished a very funny novel, and it was an audiobook, by the way. And Neil Patrick Harris is one of the narrators, and it's called Murder Your Employer. I was It was terrible because I usually listen right before bed. So I have my AirPods in, and my husband's asleep over here, and I am cracking up. It is so funny. It's like a if you could imagine Hogwarts as a finishing school for would-be assassins, but it's only for people who deserve to not be on the planet.
I understand. I
Very,
like that. A good book recommendation and that title.
yeah.
So that is Murder Your
Murder,
Employer.
murder your
The
employer.
Master's Guide to Homicide by Rupert Holmes. The audio version is narrated by Neil Patrick Harris, and he is just an outstanding actor.
He is.
And one I am in the middle of, actually about 60% of the way through, The Vanishing Half. It is, it's a novel.
Okay.
Uh, it is about a person makes a choice. There is a set of twins,
Oh.
and they are fair. They are very light complected.
Mm-hmm.
One decides to claim whiteness.
Oh. Ooh. That one sounds intriguing.
It is so good. So, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett.
Oh,
Uh,
I will check that out.
it is such a good book because, there is no consequence-free life. There are consequences to everything.
Most definitely.
So,
That and that topic actually hits home. My husband was married previously, and his daughter looks like him, and he's very blonde, very Northern European looking. His daughter looks like him, as I said. Her mother is part Filipina, part um, Hispanic, and there's something else in there which I can't remember right now. But if you looked at Delisa, you would never guess that because that's not how she appears. And I always find it fascinating when I find out people have a different ethnicity, but I never assume that they're whatever. I always ask people because sometimes I can tell that they might be something different by their name, but sometimes you can't. And assuming that someone has a shared background or experience that you did may get you in a whole lot of trouble. So I like what you said at the very beginning. Tell people how to pronounce your name, make them comfortable. You also said to don't make people have to hunt for information. Don't you make them the miner having to excavate. That I thought was very, very brilliant. And the fact that you have evidence right there on your LinkedIn page about how much people enjoy working with you, and you've taken their language and you've used it. Did you put the book that you narrated into the chat?
I did not. I will look that up now and add
Okay.
that in there.
I think you should do that. And I am going to be introducing you to my friends who are audiobook producers, because finding people who are not only have a good voice, but they're reliable, they show up. That's also important too. I've heard so many horror stories about people. Unfortunately, in our business, and I'm saying our business, there are a lot of people who sound like they know what they're doing and they sell you on what they're going to do and they don't deliver. And I've worked with so many of my clients have gotten burned by somebody else. So that's why I say I want to help educate you so you know what to look for and you understand you can still hire people, but don't ever give up control. Not
I
completely.
agree. I agree.
Yeah. But I'd love to see. Okay, so the rookie CEO, this, I bet it's funny, but it also probably has some sad stuff in there too.
Yeah. He profiles 9 different CEOs. So he still is a corporate consultant. And
Hmm.
so he was working with new CEOs across
Yes.
few different a few different industries.
Yeah.
And you can't believe it's like, really? They thought that would okay. Okay.
Ah,
So
it's bizarre. I know. I worked for 3 startups. Oh my gosh. Yeah, some of the stuff that startups do, okay, if I had longer hair, it would be on fire
me too.
right now. Yeah. Isn't that it's so funny to think about.
So Judy,
Yes.
my understanding is this is your very first StreamYard event.
It's my first in a really long time and under
Okay.
this format. So
Under
kind
yes.
of
So
I'm kind of a StreamYard virgin, sort of kind of,
not
because it
anymore.
changed
You did a
a
great
lot.
job.
Well,
Everything
you
is figure outable.
it is figure yes. Marie Forleo, yes, ma'am. I love hearing that in my head. And most things are. And what I think you and I both know, sometimes it's just, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to figure it out. It'll get better. But I would say overall I'm very happy, but you are such an easy person to work with and to coach because you're coachable, which
You
is a
know,
gift.
thank you.
Yeah. It matters. It really, really matters on whether or not people are coachable, and not everybody is.
That is
And
true.
you probably have had more than you share.
That is
It is
true.
really crazy. It is crazy. So what we're going to be doing with this is I will have the recording. It will be available, and I'm going to take some clips, and probably you're going to do some of that too, Christopher, since you have access to it. And we're going to populate this because I want more people to know about Christopher. But if this is something that is appealing to you, let me see if I can do this correctly. I'm going to bring up a media asset, which I think I have
All right.
done. Yeah. This is the part where I'm really going, what am I doing? Um,
You've
let
got
me,
this.
okay, so where is the thing I want? Oh, here we go.
Perfect.
So should I? Ah, there.
Oh,
I did
see,
figure
that
it
is
out.
perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. So today is what it was the first Buzzworthy Book Power Hour. But if that's something that you feel could benefit you, I would love for you to apply. And I'm giving you several different ways to do it because not everybody likes using QR codes. But if you do, if you hover your camera over that QR code, it will take you to the same place that is down here at the bottom, bookmarketingmentor.com/BZ coach one. That will take you to the page where you can apply. I think it's about 10 or 12 questions so that I know a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish and where you feel like there are gaps. And I'm going to have probably 5 complimentary spots a month, but not to despair. If those are filled, you can always hire me. And if this seems like it would be helpful for you, and I can guarantee it will be if you pay attention, I would love for you to join me there. And there's one other place you can come and visit with me that is at no cost, and I have guest uh, experts, and that is at the Buzzworthy Book Bistro. It's an hour nonstop where I have a guest expert. I had Diane Wolf, who wrote 14 Nights to Better Sleep, as my guest this month. And people like Diane, experts in their field, Christopher will be one in the future where he can talk about producing events and why you want to be doing that. So the expert will answer questions. They'll tell you about what they do and why it matters. And then there'll be time for all of the people who show up to share about what they're working on. And they can ask me anything about their book marketing. And I will do my best to answer. And if I don't know the answer, I won't make it up. I'll figure it out or I'll introduce you to the person who does know the answer. So, Christopher, do you have anything you want to share on the screen? I will put mine away.
Not at this time. I
Oops.
in the chat.
Okay, let me make that one go away. Oops.
Okay.
All right. Why am I?
It's all
What
fine.
do I need to
So
do? Oh,
click
I'm
it
clicking it
again.
again. Thank
Yep.
you.
There you
You
go.
told me that and I forgot.
It's all fine. But you remembered. See?
I did. Just took me a second or so.
There you go.
So
No, I
fun.
put the things
Oh,
in the chat, and so I'm all set.
I appreciate this. Thank you for making it so easy for me. That means a lot because, you know, being up on stage is not the easiest thing in the world, especially for two truly introverted people. But once we're here, we're having a good time. But it's getting us on the
Absolutely.
stage. That's the trick.
Judy, you're a delight.
Oh, thank you, my dear. I feel the same. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream and tell your friends if you enjoy this and if you are watching it later. I'd love to hear your comments and tell us what else you might like to see in the future. So let me hit end and thank you all for being here today.